Case open. Right now, your body is lying to you. Not a small lie. A fundamental, structural, deeply committed lie about where you end and the world begins. And the strangest part, the lie is there to protect you, but sometimes it destroys you instead. Here's the paradox. Your body keeps a map of itself. Every finger, every toe, every square inch of skin, permanently charted inside your brain. And that map, it refuses to update, even when the territory changes completely. Even when the territory is gone. We're going to find out exactly why, and why it matters way more than you think. Let me set the scene. It's 1866. A Union Army surgeon named Silas Weir Mitchell is treating soldiers coming back from the Civil War. Men who lost arms, men who lost legs, and almost every single one of them reports the same impossible thing: it can still feel the limb. Not a vague impression, not a metaphor. They feel it. They feel it burning. They feel it cramping. They feel fingernails digging into a palm that is no longer there. Mitchell calls it phantom limb pain, and for over a century, nobody can explain it. The mainstream theory is simple and wrong. The pain is in the mind. Hysteria. Psychological. Move on. Except you cannot move on from pain that is physically, neurologically, devastatingly real. But that's only the first clue. Here is where your brain comes in. And here is where this stops being a story about soldiers and starts being a story about you. Deep inside your brain, specifically in a folded strip of cortex running across the top of your skull like a headband, there is a full-body map. Neuroscientists call it the somatosensory cortex. Every part of your body has a dedicated patch of real estate up there. Your lips have a massive territory. Your back has almost nothing. Your hams, enormous. Your torso, tiny. It is not proportional to your actual body. It is proportional to how much sensation that body part sends to your brain. Think of it like a city. The areas that are busiest get the most infrastructure. The quiet suburbs get almost none. Now here is the crucial thing. That map was built over years. It was reinforced every single day by touch, by movement, by temperature, by pain. And it does not erase easily. When a limb is amputated, the map stays. The territory is gone. The map remains. And the map keeps sending signals. It keeps expecting input that will never come. It starts generating its own. That is phantom limb pain. Not hysteria, not imagination. Your brain's GPS insisting there is still a road where the road has been demolished. Now here is where the case gets interesting. Because in 1996, a neuroscientist named V.S. Ramachandran decided to attack the problem from a completely different angle. He built a box. A simple wooden box with a mirror inside it, angled so that when a patient slid their intact arm in on one side, the reflection looked exactly like the missing arm on the other side. The brain, seeing what appeared to be the phantom limb moving freely and painlessly, began to release the tension. The phantom cramps relaxed. The phantom pain, for some patients, disappeared entirely after weeks of use. A mirror, a box, a deception aimed at the map. It worked because Ramachandran understood something radical. The map is not just a passive record. The map is actively generating your experience of having a body. Right now, every second you are conscious. Let that sit for a moment. Your experience of having a hand right now is not coming from your hand. It is coming from the map of your hand in your brain. Your hand is just sending updates. The map is doing the rendering. So what happens when the updates stop? Here is the consequence. And this is where the case becomes human in a way that is hard to look away from. There is a man named Paul. He is not a soldier. He lost his arm in a motorcycle accident at age 28. Healthy, young, completely unexpected. Within 48 hours of surgery, the phantom begins. It does not feel like a ghost. It feels like his arm is locked in the exact position it was in at the moment of impact. Bent at a specific angle, fingers curled tight. For months, Paul wakes at 3 in the morning because his missing hand will not open. He cannot will it open. He cannot stretch it. He cannot shake it out. Because there is nothing to shake. The map has him frozen at the moment of the accident. The map is traumatized, and the map does not know that the trauma is over. Paul is not unusual. Studies suggest up to 80% of amputees experienced some form of phantom sensation. That is not a fringe case. That is almost everyone. 80% of people who lose a limb carry a ghost of it permanently encoded in their neural architecture. Some of those phantoms are neutral, just a vague presence. Some are agonizing. Some, over years, slowly fade as the brain remaps surrounding territory. But the map never fully forgets. Research shows that even decades after amputation, the cortical representation of that limb can be reactivated by touching the face, or the shoulder, or skin near the original site, because the neighboring territories have partially expanded into the empty space, but the original encoding is still there underneath. like an old road showing through new asphalt. Now here is the revelation, and this is the part I did not expect when I started investigating this case. Your body map does not just apply to missing limbs. It applies to you, right now. Oh, on injury. The map your brain has of your body is almost certainly outdated. It is calibrated to a version of you that no longer fully exists. If you gained or lost significant weight, your map is running behind. If you went through an injury and recovered, your map may still be protecting that area, sending pain signals into healed tissue as a warning that is no longer necessary. Chronic back pain, chronic joint pain, chronic pelvic pain. A significant body of research now suggests that a meaningful percentage of chronic pain is not structural damage. It is a map that did not update. It is your brain running a threat simulation about a body that has already repaired itself. The neurologist Lorimer Moseley has spent decades documenting this. Pain is not a damage signal. Pain is a protection signal, and your brain decides whether to generate it based on the map, not the tissue. Which means this: the map is not your enemy. The map is the most sophisticated self-protection system in the known universe. It just has one weakness. It is conservative. It holds onto old information. It would rather keep protecting you from a threat that no longer exists than risk missing a threat that does. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. The cost of a false alarm is a little unnecessary pain. The cost of missing a real threat is death. Your brain votes for false alarms every time. It has been doing this for 200,000 years. It kept your ancestors alive. But here is what I find genuinely beautiful about this. The map is not fixed. It is plastic. It changes with experience, with attention, with movement, with therapy, with mirrors in boxes. The very fact that Ramachandran's mirror box worked, that a visual trick could reprogram phantom pain, proves that the map is not a prison. It is a draft. It is always being revised. Slowly, conservatively, but revised. Graded motor imagery therapy, where patients mentally rehearse moving a phantom limb in stages, can rewire the cortical representation over weeks. Mirror therapy has gone from a fringe curiosity to a standard rehabilitative tool in pain clinics worldwide. We are learning to talk to the map, to convince it that the emergency is over, to update the territory. And this does not just apply to amputees. Athletes who visualize movement in extreme detail activate the same cortical maps as athletes who physically practice. Stroke patients who mentally rehearse reaching for objects show measurable improvements in motor function as the map rebuilds pathways around damaged tissue. Your brain updates the map in response to what you tell it is real. It is not magic. It is cartography. You are not the fixed body you think you are. You are a walking map that is constantly, imperfectly, conservatively, and remarkably trying to keep pace with a changing territory. The phantom pain of a soldier in 1866 and the chronic back pain of someone sitting at a desk in 2024 are not the same thing, but they share a root. A map that has more authority over your experience than the tissue it represents. A brain that would rather protect you from a ghost than leave you exposed to the real. Case closed. Your body keeps a map. It built that map from every experience you have ever had, and it holds onto it, even when the territory changes, even when the territory is gone. The map is not a flaw. It is the system working exactly as designed. The only question is whether you know it is there, because now you do, and that changes everything. If this case made you think about your own body differently, that is the whole point. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The next case is already open.